Today's talk is whole, perfect, and complete. Whole, perfect, and complete. Or perfect, whole, and complete, however you want to say it. We hear those words a lot in New Thought, right? You come to a teaching like this, and what do we say all the time? We're whole, perfect, and complete. We come to this teaching, and that's what we're told. We're whole, perfect, and complete. But I don't know about you, but when I first came to this teaching and I was told that, I thought, that's a pretty brazen statement. You know, that made me uncomfortable. That was a little too much to be told that I was whole, perfect, and complete. Heresy even, right? Heresy. And you know what Helen Keller said about that? She said, heresy of one age is orthodoxy of the next. So you know, I came from a Christian teaching, a traditional Christian church. Only God is perfect. And if you were raised in a traditional Christian background, that's what you were taught, that only God is perfect. We, on the other hand, are sinners, right? Nothing you're going to do about it. Original sin gets us all. You know, you can't escape it. You were born flawed with original sin. This was the fall of mankind. Now, Ernest Holmes had this to say. He said, we must turn from all human thought and experience. We are not downtrodden, depraved, and miserable sinners. Born in sin and conceived in the inequity and shame, some go to heaven, some go to hell, and all to the eternal glory of God. This is a lie. Always was, always will be. But as long as we believe the lie, it seems to be present within us. That's huge. As long as we continue to believe the lie, it acts as if. So, if we are to truly embrace our teaching, if we are to truly embrace the idea, the truth that we are whole, perfect, and complete, we need to get really, really clear about this false belief of sin that has dogged us throughout humanity. You know, now clearly the Western religion taught us that we were something other than divine. That God created humans and God created all life and God created the universe out of nothing. That's what we were taught. Not itself. God created us not out of itself, but created us out of nothing, which I kind of thought was weird since nothing existed but God. But that's another story. Anyway, the belief is, you know, that there is God and that there is us and that we are two distinct things, except for that pesky little part in the Bible that says in the image and likeness. Okay? Now, I mention that because it is a saying and it's there, but the way it is explained to us is that, well, spirit is invisible, and we have this thing within us which is called spirit, and so that's invisible. So, you know, there's a similarity there. You kind of get it, but we're not God. Okay. And we're probably even less of that since the fall. But anyway, sin is the failing of the human. It was clearly, you know, we are flawed. We are flawed. We are no part of God. God loves us, but there is this huge separation. We live separate and apart from our good. And the only chance we have to reunite with this divinity is to accept from outside of us some savior, something we can identify with, something we want to be like, but can never measure up to because that ideal was divinity and we're not. So you can see the game is basically rigged right from the get-go. You know, you can't ever be that. So instead of looking at sin through Western philosophy, through Western theology like we have, let's look at what the Eastern religions have to say about sin. In Hinduism, which is thousands of years older than Christianity, the Veda hymn speaks to sin as an error, a falling short of desired behavior. And in the Rig Veda 5.8.5, it says this. It says, if we have sinned against a man who loves us, have wronged a brother, a dear friend or comrade, the neighbor of a long-standing or a stranger, please remove from us this sin. So if we have acted with our unskilled behavior, that's what they're talking about. And Buddhism doesn't even recognize the idea of original sin. Trungpa said this: the problem with this notion of original sin or mistake is that it acts very much as a hindrance to people. At some point, it is necessary, of course, to realize one's shortcomings. But if one goes too far with that, it kills any inspiration, and it can destroy one's vision of oneself. So in that way, it is not helpful. In fact, it seems unnecessary. Now, that being said, I can tell you, I was damned to hell for all eternity for eating a cheeseburger when I was 8 years old, because I ate it on a Friday. Now, this statement really resonated with me, because when I got to high school, I thought, if I'm damned to hell for all eternity, I better make it worth the trip, baby. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so I get that. I get that idea that it crushes our inspiration. Because if I'm going to hell anyway, shoot, what do we have to work for? So that's one. Well, we looked at Hinduism, we looked at Buddhism. Here is Confucianism, which is a set of really moral codes that were put in place, and it was never meant to be a religion to begin with. Sound familiar? But it was to serve as a compass for moral behavior in a society. In Confucianism, they have that golden rule, just like we do. What you do not want others to do to you, don't do to them. Pretty simple. Serving others and being respectful of others was a guiding tenet of Confucianism. The phrase was, how can we serve God if we cannot serve each other? So it was about being practical. Sound familiar? It's about being practical. And in contrast to that, think of the Tao, right? Now, the Tao aligns itself with nature. It wasn't as interested in the moral code, in operating in a society, but it aligned itself with nature. This is a wonderful passage from the Tao Te Ching, 1819. It says, when the Tao is forgotten, justice and duty appear. Then knowledge and wisdom are born, along with hypocrisy. When harmonious relationships dissolve, then respect and devotion arise. When a nation falls into chaos, then loyalty and patriotism are born. If we could abolish duty and justice, then harmonious relationship would return. So basically what they're saying is, when we created laws, we created outlaws. So what we see with these Eastern religions is the impersonal nature of the divine, seeking to know of itself through us. There is no separation. There is only God. And they keep going back to that. There is only God. There is only God. And that divinity, whatever you want to call it, is the truth of our being. It's what we are made of. This idea that the divine has hidden itself in the only place we wouldn't look, within us. That the Atman-Brahman relationship is the core of who we are. It is the individualization of spirit in this body, which makes the idea of sin irrelevant. We are divine at our core. So what we can do is we cannot know that. We can ignore that. But divine cannot be a sinner. The divine cannot be a sinner. Sin, again, goes back to that idea of unskilled behavior. That's the product of the human being, and it is a result of our ignorance of our true nature. If we knew better, we would do better. Did you ever hear that expression? If we knew better, we would do better. So you can see that there is a huge difference between the Eastern philosophies and the Western. In the Western, we have no part of the divine, and we must, through redemption, through salvation, through something separate and apart from us, seek forgiveness. Sin is our inheritance as human beings. So, and since we can't ever get there because there was only one guy who was that and we're not, it's a game we can never win. And we seek to find it outside of ourselves all the time because that's where we were told to look. We were told to look somewhere else outside of us for salvation. So our guiding principle then becomes seek but do not find. Because we can't ever be that. So we come to a teaching like this with its bold assertion. We are whole, perfect, and complete. We're whole, perfect, and complete. And what we rediscover is we rediscover the ancient truths that this philosophy is based on. Ancient truths. That the divine has imparted itself in all its creations. That the divine had nothing else to make anything out of but itself. And so within us is that very spark of the divine. Emerson said that spark of perfection that is nestled within each and every one of us. And we come to believe that God is both eminent and transcendent. It is in this world, it is of this world, and yet stands separate and apart from it also. We become the people of both and. It created everything, and it continues to create. Everything in the physical world is an outpicturing of the mind of God. It is the natural, logical outcome of a self-sentient consciousness, which then leads us back to that statement, whole, perfect, and complete. Now we can look at that statement again, whole, perfect, and complete, that brazen statement that it is, with new eyes. No, we are not the entire ocean, but we are a drop of the ocean water. If the divine is the ocean, we are a drop. So basically, in that drop is everything that the ocean is, but it's not the entire ocean. That is who we are. We are that drop of ocean water. It contains all the elements of the ocean. It's not the ocean, it's a drop. That is who we are. So the term whole fits, does it not? Everything that the ocean is contained in that one little drop. Every molecule that the ocean is in that drop. The salt level is in that drop. Everything that the ocean is contained in that little drop. So the term whole, we are whole, fits. We have within us everything that the divine is. All of the qualities of God. You want to go through them? I know them alphabetically. That was the only way I learned them for my ministerial test. Abundance, balance, beauty, freedom, joy, love, order, peace, power, unity, wisdom, wholeness. I got those backwards. Wholeness, wisdom. All of the qualities of God, we are all that, and we get to express that as little or as much as we can embody and believe and demonstrate. So if we're only hanging on to the barest little thread of peace, it's called chaos. If we're just demonstrating the littlest, tiniest little bit of love that we can think of, we call it hatred. We call it something else. We impose an artificial duality on it. But it's not. It's only love. We are whole. We are whole. We contain everything. All of the qualities of God. So now let's look at the word perfect. Look at the word perfect. You say, I'm perfect. Oh, just makes your stomach hurt, doesn't it? I'm perfect. Oh my God. No, I can't be perfect. I have flaws. Absolutely. Absolutely, I do. I am not flawless. I have flaws. But perfect has another definition. And we're not meaning flawless. What we mean when we say perfect is lacking nothing. You know, like when a recipe is perfect, when this moment in time is perfect. It's lacking nothing. Nothing is missing from the equation when it's perfect. And that's what we're talking about when we say we're perfect. Nothing is left out. Nothing. In that way, we are perfect. We are lacking nothing. Within us is everything. The divine put it there itself. Everything that is good, everything that is God, everything that we can use to create a fully self-actualized life. It's all in there. We are perfect. Whole, perfect, complete. Complete. And you know, it's funny because we can't really deconstruct any one of these words without there being some sort of gray area between them. They really do overlap. We are complete. We contain everything that we need. But for me, complete has, there's something more to it, because whole and perfect kind of have that same connotation. Complete is like, this moment is complete. Just the way it is. Even if it's not what we thought it would be, we can be complete with it. I'm complete just the way it is. Right now, in this moment, in this truth, in this breath, I'm complete with it. It was perfect, and it moved on, and now I'm here. And then that one moved on, and now I'm here. And I'm complete with each moment in time. I was fully present for it, and now I'm complete with it. And it moves on. I strive for nothing. I grasp for nothing. I am attached to nothing. But I know in this moment of time, I am complete. It is complete with me. So the idea of being complete is to be satisfied in relationship to the moment. Whatever it is, whether we can imagine it better or not. We can be non-attached to the things of the world and be perfectly peaceful and complete right here in this moment. And not be attached to the things of the world, and not be wondering what's going to happen next, and not be fearing what's down the road or regretting what was in the past, but be perfectly complete in this present moment. And I think sometimes that's where we go astray, because I hear people say, well, I don't want to be non-attached to things. I don't want to be non-attached. How can you go through life, just being not attached to anything? It's like boring. No highs, no lows. I'm just going to kind of like wander through life, being non-attached to whatever happens. And that's not what we're talking about. What I'm talking about is spiritual non-attachment, not emotional non-attachment. We can bring all the emotion to our life that we want, the highs, the lows, the grief, the joy, everything in between. Spiritual non-attachment is heightened conscious awareness. That's it. It's heightened conscious awareness that this moment in time is perfect. It is whole and complete, just as it is. And we move on to the next. But we want to be emotionally attached? Sure, go for it. Ride the roller coaster. Sometimes we're white-knuckling it, and sometimes, we got our hands in the air, and we're just going for it. But that's different. That's emotional attachment. Let's enjoy the ride for all it's worth. So when I see every moment complete in and of itself, I can accept whole, perfect, and complete. I can accept this life as whole, perfect, and complete. It is the truth of us. Without being attached to outcome, right here in this moment, we are alive, we're breathing, we are conscious. It's perfect. It's complete. God is in charge and all is well. God is in charge and all is well. Louise Hay said this. She said, "In the infinity of life where I am, all is perfect, whole, and complete. I no longer choose to believe in old limitations or lack. I now choose to begin to see myself as the universe sees me, whole, perfect, and complete." So if the universe sees us as that, who are we to argue? Who are we to deny that gift? And in Psalms, the Old Testament, it said, "I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High." That was in Psalms. And in John, Jesus brought that up again and reminded the disciples, did he not? When they asked him, "For a good work we stone thee not, but for blasphemy, because that thou being a man make thyself God." And he answered them by saying, Is it not written in your laws, ye are gods? He just kind of threw it back in their face. Hey, that was your book, that was your teaching, not mine. I'm just reminding you that is the truth of you. That's the truth of all of us. And in Thoughts or Things, Ernest Holmes said this: He said, the Spirit of God is an undivided and indivisible wholeness. It fills all time with its presence and permeates space with the activity of its thought. Your endeavor, then, is not so much to find God as it is to realize God's presence and to understand that this presence is always with you. Nothing can be nearer to you than the very essence of your being. Your outward search for God culminates in the greatest of all possible discoveries, finding God at the center of your own being. Life flows up from within you. So this week, that's your practice, to remember who you are. Ye are God's. Remember who we are. We are perfect, whole, and complete.